Part 4, everybody, here on YouTube with Leading Our Own Way. I'm your host, Andrew White. Welcome back. Today's segment now, Luke Ambler takes us inside Andy's Man Club. Showing how a simple idea of blokes supporting blokes has grown into something extraordinary. Oh, and I mean extraordinary. It's going to blow your mind. We're talking about power of community, the importance of vulnerability, and why it's okay not to be okay. For those that have missed it, it's okay to talk. Yes, this is him. Anyway, here's part 4. Don't go anywhere. Here on YouTube, Leading Our Own Way with Luke Ambler.
Yeah, I've probably gone off on a mad tangent there to what I'm trying to get across.
No, that's important.
I want people
it's very important.
I think I could sit here and say I'm with a car accident really bad, and then I had a hard time at school. But I also had a phenomenal time at school. Yeah. Met some of my bestest friends in the world at school. And I think sometimes is when you're having a shitty day or a moment or a hard time in life like you did, your perspective on life will be far different to if that wouldn't have happened. Maybe you wouldn't lead now others the way that you were led. And that's how I think of it. So, yeah, I think that would definitely, and I think that's most important to get across here. I had a very privileged and good upbringing, and that would mean very different things to people who are sat just listening and, I wonder what it means by privilege. Just the experience of being brought myself up at times. Me and my brother would go home and we'd cook his own tea, so I can cook very well now. I know how to cook. I'm very independent. I don't really need anyone to survive. And that all comes from that independence of growing up in a split family, split parent household. So, yeah, do you know what? I have gone off on one, but I really want to articulate that not everything that bad happened to us is bad.
Those things, what you've just highlighted there, though, that positive childhood has probably prepared you better and build that hard wire inside of you to be able to cope with the things that you did go through in a much, much safer and safer way to respond to, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think what it does is each thing, it just builds you for the next thing. I often say that before Andy died, I was in the best position possible because of all the shit I'd been through. And it sort of built me up to be this really resilient, strong person. And boom, Andy died. But I was ready then. Yeah. I felt like it made me ready to be able to face it head on and go, okay, let's have it. Like, let's deal with what he's dealing with here.
Yeah. Absolutely. And look at all these wonderful things that have come from this as well. Not just Andy, but all the other things that you've done, making it as a rugby player, building the business that you're building. Because you're a volunteer, as you said before, for Andy's Man Club. You do not take anything from that.
Nothing.
That's incredible.
I'm technically a voluntary CEO, which is brilliant because it means then that you have a different mindset on how to run it. Because you do it running it on pure positive intentions rather than profit-based.
Yeah.
Analysis.
And the people that help you, are they paid employees or are they all volunteers too?
So we have 39 paid employees now. But you know what's beautiful about that? 30 of them are guys who walk through the door as a user, become a facilitator voluntary, helped out extra as a volunteer. Then when a job advert's come out for the area, they applied for a job and got it. So we take on that role of area lead. And now our header groups for England, our header groups for Scotland are all guys who've used the group.
Love it. What about Australia? Let's do it over here too.
The goal is to conquer the United Kingdom.
I think you're doing
that word there, and then move on to any English-speaking language, hopefully, because these men's circles are vitally important all over the world.
Absolutely,
forget mental health and suicide prevention. Men need men on the spaces, as you said before. The pub's gone, so guys can have a structured conversation and lead themselves positively. The society gets better men. And that's what we want.
Yeah, I just interviewed the Australian version of yourself called Aaron Schultz. He runs a foundation called the Outback Mind Foundation. It's all around men's mental health and boys' mental health, predominantly domestic violence, preventing domestic violence. But I'm sure other categories of scenarios go into those. They call it the men's circles, and there's pictures of the Outback, and they're all sat in the Outback. It's phenomenal. He's such a great guy. His episode actually drops on the 31st of this month. We filmed it about a month ago.
Love that.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, we were supposed to be catching up when he comes back to Melbourne because he's in Queensland at the moment. So school then for you, was school childhood was a positive experience? Was school a positive experience for you too?
Again, they were just for purpose of story. It were hard at times. I was a big kid and a hard time, but I just think sometimes the way that we view stuff,
Hmm.
and I'm hoping people take this away, is like, the way I always tell the stories at school were in hard time, but it was just periods of school that were in hard time.
Yeah.
You know, periods where it were, picked on for being a bit bigger or whatever, now physically and mentally, which were difficult at times. But ultimately, like, school mint, like, it was like I got on well with my teachers. I've always been a people person, so I've often, maybe not always been the best in the book, but I've got good, often relationship skills. So I always made good relationships with my teachers, especially at secondary school. I'd get to do stuff that probably most kids wouldn't. So, if we had a rugby game that night and we needed to find out who were playing that team, that I'd be out of class walking around, knocking in everyone's classes. So I could just check if, Johnny's here. Johnny, you got your kit? No, can you go to office and ring your mum? We need you to play, mate. We need you to
Yeah.
play. Go get your mum. So he's going to have to go. We've got a game. And they're just like, it was just like, I had a good time, like looking back, like school were good, especially when it's like year 9, because I got myself in good shape. I were boxing, I were rugby player, and like, it was a really good period at school at that time, really good friendship group. My dad always says that that's why he feels blessed, that both me and my brother have got really good friendship groups, which means we didn't really get ever led astray, even though we're both quite stubborn beliefs and, like, in a self, like, we're quite cool, we don't really get led. But we had good friendship groups, which I think is really important. To who you surround with is who you become in it.
Absolutely. Even being around the friendship groups, they're still human, right? They still could have made bad decisions, or but you stood strong and you understood your feels. We always teach that to my son and my daughter. If it doesn't feel right in your stomach, that's your intuition speaking to you. That's your gut mind speaking, the connection there. Go with it sometimes. If it doesn't feel right, you don't have to follow that path just because you want to be with that particular person. My 8-year-old's slowly figuring that out. So, because rugby was a big part of your life, was that an outlet for you then coming through school?
Yeah, I think unintentionally to start with.
Yeah.
If you're a rugby kid, if you're a kid at school who's overweight having a hard time, but you got a rugby where you're overweight and you can run a little bit, then it's a plus, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I found out that I was quite good at it when I was like 8, and then I worked my way up, and then at 15 I wanted to be a professional rugby player. Signed for a team in Manchester called Salford City Reds.
Oh, I won a shirt there once from Manchester Giants, a basketball team. I won a shirt because they sponsored. Oh, there was some relationship. I've got a picture actually. Quickly, sorry.
Oh yeah, I then went to Leeds Rhinos, which was a dream come true. Played a few games at Leeds. Went to London for a year. Came back to Leeds, and then I got let go, which was a bit of a difficult time for me. I'm very lucky to play for Ireland and represent my mum. I was Irish, so rugby were a great time for me. And I retired at a young age. I retired at 26. Which is young, especially for a prop forward in rugby league. But I retired on my terms. Like, I were done. I were ready to go, and I were ready to go and speak and share stories and communicate. And there we go. Bosh.
Look at that. That face of determination. Can I ask? You mentioned you got dropped. Is why did you get dropped?
New manager. I didn't fit his look. Maybe he didn't think I was good enough, and maybe I wasn't good enough. My dad hates me saying that. I had a chat with my dad. I had a realization. Like, maybe I wasn't good enough, Dad. And he was like, "Nah, I'm not having that." Blah blah blah.
Proud dad, right? Looking after his boy.
Yeah. And I think sometimes, as men, sometimes maybe we're not good enough. Maybe as humans we're not good enough, but maybe we don't admit that. Where just because I wasn't good enough for that, don't mean I'm not good enough
for something else.
Yeah, if I wouldn't have gone through what I went through there and got let go from Leeds, I would be doing what I do now, which I love far more than playing rugby. So what a blessing I'm on a podcast as a result, with a great gentleman all the way over in Australia.
Stop.
Would that have happened if I was still a rugby player? I don't know. Maybe it would, maybe it won't, but I'm very blessed to get to do what I do now on a day-to-day basis and have the conversations I have and help people to have a laugh and think better about life and think deeper about life. And that's sort of where I wanted to go with on that point about, I think I view all my life as a series of events that happened exactly as they probably should have, whether that's at the detriment to others, which is awful, But I say that because if I could change Mum's car crash, 100%. If I could stop Andy taking his life, 100%. If I could stop my partner, if she said 100%. But I can't. Because I have no time machine. So I'd rather view it in a different way that, okay, I can't change it, but what can I do about it? And I think by doing that, it takes off any regret of what could have been because it can't be, because it happened, whether I liked it or not. And I think sometimes people need to have a bit of a slap in face to say, what's happened to me? I've got to either fight against it or get away from it. So if you're going through a toxic workplace environment, if you can't fight against it, get yourself out of there and go do something else. Because ultimately, the name of the headline of what I said today is life is short, you've got to enjoy it, right? And you won't always enjoy your job, right?
No.
But it's a big proportion of your life to not find something you enjoy. You know, I know some people who do jobs that people won't want to do. You know, tough, hard, labouring jobs, but they love it. They love nothing
Absolutely.
more. Couldn't think of anything worse than sat public speaking on a podcast. They want to have their hands dirty, digging up ground, and just being with their mates, you know, and getting after it. Some people want to do be funeral directors. Some people want to be hairdressers. Some people, you know, and that's why the society works, because people have different things. But you've just got to enjoy what you do, and if you don't enjoy it, go find something that you do enjoy. And if you can't find something you enjoy for work, make sure you definitely find something you enjoy outside of work, because the other 8 hours you need to spend time doing some shit you enjoy before you sleep. The other 8 hours anyway. So,
I
and as
agree.
adults, stop doing that. So I think for me, rugby, my mum's car crash, Andy dying, my kids, what happened there, is every single thing taught me the fragility of life and how quite quickly that anything can be taken away. So you owe it to yourself to get a good night's sleep. You owe it to yourself to drink enough water. You owe it yourself to try and eat as best you can. And you owe it yourself to enjoy life. Like, you owe it yourself, because before you know it, you're going to be sat on a deathbed, if you're lucky enough, sat reflecting, did I do everything in my power to live the best life and lead the best life possible? And if not, if you can't answer that now, fucking make a change. Like, make a change today, now, and start, because it's never over. It's never over till it's over. So you can make them changes any single day, can't you? And I think you've got to go and do that shit. You've got to go and own that shit. And you've got to lead yourself to be the best version of yourself and the most energetic, playful, joyful, you know, happiest content version of yourself, while knowing at the same time life's going to smack you in the face a lot as well.
Yeah.
You got to keep getting your ass back up.
That was powerful, man. Yeah, I completely agree with every single word. You know, on the subject of jobs and society, I've stopped asking kids now, because it's typical for a teacher. What do you want to be when you're older? I stop asking that. I say, what is your dream? Join us tomorrow to hear more from today's incredible guests and learn valuable insights to help you lead your own way. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you then.